Before starting, I want to thank the organizers and Peter, especially for giving me the opportunity to be here today at this amazing conference. Today, I'm going to present a joint work with Ole Christian Hope. And our research question deals with the uncertainty about investors' preferences and climate change reporting. Specifically, we focus on unclear climate change preferences and the use of known answers in climate change reporting. In this paper, we focus on three research questions. The first one deals with how uncertainty about climate change preferences of institutional investors encourages the use of known answers. In the second part of the paper, we try to enlarge the source of uncertainty and we focus on public opinion on corporate climate change and how this uncertainty affects the use of known answers. In the third part, we investigate one of the potential consequences of known answers to the market. And we specifically focus on climate change questions asked by sell-side financial analysts in the Q&A sessions of earnings calls. To investigate such questions, we use the CDP setting, also previously known as Carbon Disclosure Project. As we know, companies decide to fill the CDP survey. And when they fill the survey, they can provide answers so they can faithfully supply the information requested by the survey. On the other hand, companies may decide to provide the so-called known answers. So basically, companies decide to shy away from the question asked and provide a different answer. According to the literature, we can identify known answers according to different symptoms. We focus on vague answers and no answers. Why no answers are easy to capture? Because they are basically blank cells that are left by the company in the CDP questionnaire. For vague answers, we rely on two different methodologies. The first one is a large language model called ClimateBird, which is specifically trained on climate change reporting. And in the second part, we use the dictionary approach. Specifically, we use the dictionary of known answers. So once the companies fill the CDP survey, this CDP will be submitted on the website, and a group of users can access to them. So we can think about regulators, analysts, retail investors, but the biggest portion is constituted by institutional investors. And institutional investors classify themselves into non-CDP signatories and CDP signatories. Here is where we capture heterogeneity in preferences. So as we know, CDP gives the opportunity to institutional investors to sign up to the CDP signatories investors list for a fee. Research has shown that the CDP signatories have clear discernible preferences when it comes to climate change preferences. For example, being part of the CDP list is akin to public requests for climate change information. However, the CDP signatories just do not talk simply green, but they also walk green because research has shown that they decarbonize their portfolio faster than non-CDP signatories. So we use the portion of non-CDP signatories to proxy for those that have not expressed interest publicly in climate change information. In this group, we can find firms that might not be interested at all in the CDP questionnaire and in climate change information. However, we can also have another part of the group which is interested in climate change information, and they might use this information in their portfolio allocation, but they might not be interested in the content of the CDP per se. So let me show you the baseline results of our paper. Here we find a positive association between the portion of institutional ownership that is not affiliated with the CDP signatory list and the percentage of known answer given by a firm in the CDP survey. When it comes to economic significance, we find that one standard deviation increase in non-CDP holding is associated with a 3% increase in known answers. In the second part, as I mentioned before, we focus on public opinion as a proxy of the preferences of a broad group of stakeholders. And we focus on the international attitudes toward climate policies survey, and we pick the question that asked surveyed about the extent of a companies' responsibility for climate change in their own country. And also in this case, we find that a more polarized in-state public opinion is negatively associated with the percentage of known answers given by firms in the CDP survey. In the third question, we ask ourselves, what happens when there is absence of relevant information in the CDP survey? And here we specifically focus on the Q&A sessions and the questions asked by analysts. Here we find, again, a positive association between the previous year percentage of known answers given in the CDP survey and the likelihood and the intensity for a firm to receive a climate change-related question during the Q&A session. In the rest of the paper, we address some potential alternative communication channels, as well as we test some assumptions that we make in our analysis. In the first additional analysis, we acknowledge that it's possible that the firms communicate privately with institutional investors, and in this exchange, they might reveal their own preferences for climate change. So in this test, we control for 3 of the most common private communication channels. That are ownership concentration, the presence of IR function, and the number of analysts and investors days. Here we find consistent results even after controlling that there is a positive association between unclear preferences and the use of known answers. In the second additional test, we test an assumptions that we make, which is all firms are endowed with the right set of information to reply to all the questions of the CDP survey. So here in this additional test, we control for climate change information owned, and still we find consistent inference with what we observe in our main test. Finally, we conduct an additional test about the approver's job title of the CDP survey. We collect the job titles of the person that signs off the CDP survey, and we classify it in a Chief Sustainability Officer or other ESG-related job titles. And we find that just when we use the Chief Sustainability Officer, this role mitigates the intensity of known answers. We do not find a similar result when we control for a more junior but still ESG-related job titles, such as Sustainability Manager and Environmental Manager. With this research, we want to contribute to several streams of the literature. And for example, we provide an explanation of the boilerplate language that has been documented in the ESG voluntary disclosure field. Also, we document an impediment for firms to provide to the market the climate change information that has been shown to be a very relevant set of information for investors. Additionally, we stress the importance of institutional investors, but also about a specific group of institutional investors that have not clearly stated where they stand in terms of ESG preferences. And finally, we want to support regulators concern about vague and incomplete environmental disclosure, which is at the core of our daily debate. With this, I thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you very much.